Reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network. You're listening to Crowfall Reporter on the MMO Reporter Network, brought to you by Doghouse Systems. Choose your weapon with Doghouse Systems. And by Audible. Go to audiblepodcast.com/MMO Reporter to get your first month free. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Crowfall Reporter. This is episode 7. I'm Chris, and I'm joined by my very good friend, Mr. at MMO Bill. Hello, Bill.
Good evening. How goes the battle in the distant land of... Actually, there is no land yet. You're going to tell me all about what in Hungerdomia, I guess.
Hungerdome! And, of course, none other than the wonderful bearded man, the bearded wonder, you could even say, Mr. at MMO Matty. Hello, Matt.
Hello. I would like
Bill, did you hear what Matt said?
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit, because I
know he would like something.
We both know he would like something. I'm going to guess that... wow, that's interesting that he cut out quite like that.
I think he would like a new microphone.
He would. Either that or a new Skype call. We'll try that instead. While we're waiting for Matt to come back and see if we can hear Matt, Bill, what have you been doing in gaming?
Oh, geez, this is not a good stall tactic here, Chris, because I've done almost nothing. I've got Christmas is charging into my house like a runaway Legionnaire, if you will. I was gonna go with a car reference, but then I decided Legionnaire. Anyway, like a runaway Legionnaire with jingle bells on its hooves or whatever. I've played a little bit of Guild Wars 2, and that's about it. I've got the Horizons beta queued up for Elite Dangerous, which I'm excited about eventually getting into, but I'll get there. Feel sorry for me. See, that's what I want. That's what I want for Christmas more than anything is pity and time.
You know what, Bill? You need to feel bad for me. Do you want to know why you need to feel bad for me?
I'm really finding a hard time feeling bad for you, but sure, go ahead.
Playing the Hungerdome, which I'm now in the Hungerdome. I can play the Hunger. I have played several matches
I'm so
in the
sorry,
Hungerdome.
Chris. Sorry.
But you know what? It's a hard life, Bill, because it's not working correctly on my monitor. I've got a 21:9 monitor, ultra widescreen, a BenQ XR3501 curved ultra widescreen 35-inch monitor, and I have to play it like the peons playing at 1920 by 1080. I can't do the ultra wide. It cuts off the doesn't work right. It doesn't support that resolution. So I have these black bars on the side of my monitor, Bill.
That's terrible. You know what we should do is we should get on Kickstarter and we should start a fund.
Yeah.
Save Chris from the black bars.
Yeah,
because,
I know, right?
I mean, if we don't, who will? I mean, totally seriously, who on this planet?
Not a goddamn one. All right. Well, while we're waiting for Matt to come back here from his technical issues that he's having, let's talk about the Hungerdome, because I have been there, Bill. I have visited the land of hunger, and it is very domey.
Yeah, regale me here. What does the hunger smell like? Because I'm assuming if you're playing on that big stonking 35-inch monitor, it must shoot smells out at you as well.
Oh, absolutely. It smells like fun, Bill. Just pure, unadulterated fun. And
unadulterated. Oh, wow.
This is not adult fun. This is unadulterated fun.
Oh, unadulterated. Right. I see.
Yeah. So
we get to keep our clean tag then. That's good.
Correct. Absolutely.
At least for the moment.
Well, until Matt gets back on. I played all the classes except for Confessor. I couldn't bring myself to make... I made a Confessor, but I didn't play Confessor. I played Legionnaire.
Why on earth? It's fire. You're in the middle of winter, Chris. You should be doing everything you can to feel warm.
Meh. That's all. I just didn't feel the vibe. But I did play a Legionnaire, I played a Champion, and I played a Knight. I played most of my time on the Champion, but I have to say, kind of fell in love with the Legionnaire. And I have to say right now, and I don't know how many of our listeners will agree who are currently testing Crowfall, but when we now, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, we get to queue for teams. So you get to pick and you get to see which class people are as they go into it. I will jump ship absolutely if I'm on my Champion and there's no Legionnaire on my team. I will jump ship for one with a Legionnaire, like in a heartbeat, without even thinking, because there's no healing, there's no buffs, there's no... Right, not anywhere near as much without the Legionnaire, and the Legionnaire makes all the difference. You're not hunting... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say it's going to be interesting, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, but I mean, stats are a fairly new thing to the game right now.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if the inclusion, or as the character statistic system becomes a little bit more refined, if that's going to maybe mute the effect of the Legionnaire buffs.
I don't know, because the Legionnaires are going to pick passive skills and stuff like that are going to accentuate their abilities, right? What it saved you from is it made you much more efficient as you went out there and killed things and looked for chests and that to get your gear. You didn't have to hunt for campfires quite as much because the Legionnaire was able to go there. And when you had a fight, these fights were none of them were quick. And I still had some video issues, some video lag, and some network lag as well. So it was never, like, I never felt super accurate like I do in, like, Guild Wars 2, which, again, comparing a pre-alpha to a released game several years old.
Well, you can't. I mean, even at this stage, I don't see Crowfall so much as a game as a technical demo.
It's not even a technical demo. It's just simply trying to make things work. Wouldn't you say, Matt? Nope.
Yes, I would.
Yeah! Woohoo!
Smooth.
I sure would.
It worked. Sorry, was that smooth enough? So you know, I probably, I think the best rank I got in a match was 3 or 4. Like, I got, my team won only once, and that was when I was Legionnaire. But no, that's when I was Champion and I had a Legionnaire in my group. Yeah, an absolute blast playing through. Holy cow, the mobs are hard. Like, if you didn't go in planned with your entire group against any single mob, you would absolutely get murdered. Like, completely murdered. So it wasn't even just a little bit, it was a lot. So you had, and most people weren't using text chat, and maybe some people were in voice chat, but I mean, the more I played this test, the more I wanted to play with you guys and have voice chat. Because that's going to make things so much better to coordinate things. We'll need to find a fourth for our testing, though.
Yeah. Is for
4-person
group size is still 4.
I think they flipped a switch a little bit, because at one point I had 5 in a group for a couple matches. Just going through they didn't mention anything, but we had 5 a couple times.
Yeah.
We lost, we lost one right away. On like the first, we're all 4 of us are going in one direction, and this one other guy's like, woo, I'm gonna go off, and we're fighting in a village that's right next to the hunger as it's coming in, and I'm yelling at my screen, "Don't fight in the hunger! Don't fight in the hunger! You're dead." Crap. So we were a group of 4, and I think that's that when I got up to 10 or something like that.
The one I watched, you came 6th, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, I never won. I never got first, but I did okay. You know, that's 6. I usually got between like 6th and 12th, and that's out of like 40 to 50 we had per match. So that was okay. I was pretty happy with that. What questions do you guys have about what the experience was like?
Well, jeez.
Not to put you on the spot, but
what is the current Hunger Dome map size feel like? Like, if you could kind of compare it to like either give us a frame of reference from like from a WoW zone or Guild Wars 2 zone or a Lotro zone that
You know what?
or something like that.
It's like one of the maps in WoW in Guild Wars 2 and World versus World, about half
okay.
that to maybe 3/4. So, I bet you if you ran across, it'd probably take you 4 to 5 minutes to run from one end to the other, like straight across.
Okay.
So it's a decent size. I don't feel like I knew where the map was. I don't know if it was... that's actually a good thought. I don't know if they were procedurally generated every time or if it was the same map every time. It was varied enough that I couldn't tell from the, I don't know, dozen and a bit matches that I played. I didn't ever feel like, oh, okay, I'm at this part of the map. I constantly was finding new spots. It might be like that if it's not procedurally generated. I bet you it's like that for some people.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Which I may have missed this just with my abrupt exit and stuff like that. But which character was your fave?
Legionnaire. Yeah, I talked about that. Champion was good. Knight. I might end up on Knight. I think I like Knight more than Champion, but I played more Champion because it was the new hot thing.
Gotcha.
So I wanted to try it out. And never did Confessor. But yeah. Other questions? Anything like that? It's really fun. I had a lot of fun. I can't wait to do more. The only thing I don't like right now is that the testing is too early for me. It's all like early evening Central Time, which or late evening Central Time, which turns out to be early evening here. I can't get on at that point. Like when it's 7 to 9 Central, that's that's 5 to 7 here. I can't do that. Sorry. I want to. When I was sick last week and I was home, I was able to, and that was fun. Maybe I'll have to log into like an Australia test and go onto those servers. Yeah. But that's my only complaint. Oh, and my monitor, but that's just sad.
What? What about your monitor? What?
You missed it. Listen to the show when we post it.
You don't even want to hear this.
It's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing.
We have to feel very sad for Chris.
You do.
Because he's into the game and we're not, and he's into a monitor that's about the same size as probably 3 of yours and mine.
Oh, I remember hearing about this.
Okay. So that's what we have been doing in game. If you have any questions about what it was like in the Hunger Dome, I recorded a bunch of content of a video. I'm trying to find some time to scrape together a video of it. Hopefully, I'll find something to be able to post it soon, and you can let me know what your questions are about the Hunger Dome. I want to mention very quickly our wonderful patrons. We have 31 patrons over at patreon.com/MMOreporter. And we are very, very happy that all of you are our patrons because you make this show possible and let us do what we do. And we've been having a lot of fun recently with... we started to open up. We've got a Slack server that we use for internal communications, and we've opened up a couple of channels for our patrons as sort of a start to testing to maybe opening it up a little bit more. So if you want to get in there and chat with all your favorite MMO Reporter Network peeps, then become a patron, and we'll be able to get you into that because it would be fun. All right, it's time to talk about the news, so let's move things along.
So the first bit of news that we're going to jump into is the sprint videos. There was a new set of sprint videos released towards the end of last month, detailing sprint at 9 through 11. So, and they were all focused on preparing and releasing Hunger Dome 1.1. So, just a quick review for those of you that haven't watched it yet. Sprint 9 was a bug tracking, bug fixing sprint, or that's at least how they described it. They talked about kind of their bug reporting process. They talked about how they use Jira for tracking that, and anybody who's worked in any IT type environment knows what Jira is. It's kind of cool that the company making my game uses the tool that I've used. So that's great. So felt very involved there. But yeah, just showed the process there. Really talked about the value of good, detailed, replicable bug tracking. So if you're in the alpha, hint hint, and you find
Hi.
something that goes wrong, it's not enough to just say, hey, this broke. You have to actually give context, time, how you can replicate it, when it happened, where it happened, and all that kind of stuff. And it instantly makes your bug relevant when all that information is in there, because there's nothing that a bug fixer likes more than to have a big flashing red arrow pointing at the thing they have to fix, so they can just go in, type 4 lines of code fixing, and call it done.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to troubleshoot it and try to hash out what happened on their own.
They actually had a bug where the cats in the game, the NPC cats that you would fight, would trigger sometimes and run away, which is fine, but they would fly away, like literally in the air, like a straight line somewhere into the air, and then land and then be unattackable for a while.
Nyan
So
cat
Weird.
Yeah.
fly away.
Yeah. So,
So-
I you know what? I put my bugs on the forums like I was supposed to. I was a good boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of detail. They love that. So Sprint 10 then jumped into a feature sprint. They talked about AI and kind of the difficulties and the challenge with AI, as well as the difference between combat and non-combat AI, and the challenges of making enemies that are not just if X then Y, but rather something kind of challenging and intelligent and able
Right.
to figure out multiple circumstances at once and that kind of thing. So that was kind of a cool insight into the development
I
there.
actually really like this video. Not knowing a heck of a lot about making of games, it was really cool to see what goes into making the brain of an AI, or what they're doing to make a brain of an AI.
Right.
I know they said it was basic, but it was just, I'd never seen that. It was really cool.
Well, it's kind of cool that they've showed those kind of the development webs there, like when they were showing the AI, and they were kind of showing what they called the little spaghetti noodles that create the scenario system, and how the mobs and the NPCs are going to react in situation X and situation Y and that kind of thing. I am completely fascinated by that whole behind the scenes, how the sausage is made kind of stuff. So that was really cool. I think that's the Unity engine stuff that they're looking at there. They've showed that a few times. Anyway, so they showed that. They talked about color, how they've added like color to things. So it's not just gray. There's like grass now, which makes an incredible difference. I mean, the scenarios they were showing were still, I mean, by all measures, if you were looking at a finished game, they'd look bland. But compared to that gray box, it's just gorgeous.
Yeah, and it looks pretty good in game. It is somewhat stylized, but I still think it looks pretty good. Still, though, running into the keep and seeing temp written all over, almost like bricks, because they don't have the textures in for the keeps and stuff like that, was funny. But
yeah,
no,
I noticed that when I was watching the video too. It was
Yeah.
funny.
yeah. And they mentioned NPCs as well, and how the NPCs are significant. Actually, there was actually a few news drops this week to talk about how they're building the NPCs to be significant pieces, like not just things that you mow through with the greatest of ease, but rather something that's strategic and you have to take care of, and you're not this invincible bastion that can just plow through all these poor innocent little pixels floating around on the screen. So that was kind of cool. So
and I can
that was
attest to that. They're very hard. Like we were talking about before, you've got to be in a group to take on any of the NPCs.
So now this sprint, if I remember right, was this a 4-week sprint?
Oh gosh,
I'm trying to remember from the video, because they did say that I think that feature sprint was slightly longer. I want to say that it was 1 week at the start for prep, 2 weeks of feature time, and then a week of bug cleanup. I might have those times wrong, but But that's anyway. Either way, it seems like they got a lot of work done in a short amount of time, which is pretty cool. And then they hit Sprint 11, which is the polish phase. This is where they actually released the Hunger Dome 1.1. They added velocity damage at that point. So basically, falling damage, damage from getting hit by things, and really kind of physics-based damage. So that was kind of cool.
If you get chain pulled into a tree, it hurts.
Yeah, as it should be.
Yeah.
As it should be.
Exactly.
And textures, and they also introduced the champion. They introduced the skill systems. They talked about the skill systems as being very Eve-like, I thought, that you would pick your skill that you wanted to train, and it just trains itself. And just by having that skill highlighted, that's how you train it. And that's basically how Eve works, as I understand, is that you're always training something, even when you're not in the game.
Yes.
So that was an interesting touch. They talked a little bit about the bolster buff, which is kind of going to be one of the mechanics they use to kind of help imbalanced fights in servers. So you get a little bit of a buff if you're badly outnumbered. They showed the leaping abilities of particularly of the champion, because he's got the one big I think it's the flying neck breaker that does a giant fly through the air and knock down at the end. We'll talk about that there in a bit, but yeah, tooltips, NPC anyway, lots and lots of stuff. Like again, when you get, it seems like a lot to put in, and you think about it from a project perspective, that's a lot of work to get done. But this is all done in a fairly short amount of time. Like this was what was it, 12 weeks for these 3 sprints altogether? Yeah. I think is what it was.
I believe so. Yes.
So there you go, lots of work done.
Yeah, and it was a ton of work, and it really shows off in the game. Like it's showing well.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think? So obviously we got to Sprint 11, and they started to show off what's actually in the Hunger Dome, or what was what's in Hunger Dome 1.1, compared to what we saw in Hunger Dome 1.0. What's jumping out as kind of the biggest change?
Oh, I think for me at least, it's NPCs in the world. It's not just you have to fight to get your gear. You don't just race to the nearest chest.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's that, and to be terribly honest, just the fact that they finally added some colors, and it's not just gray box. There's some it looks pretty.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and to keep it in mind, this is still super early, so it's going to look much prettier.
Oh yeah,
right. These are beginner textures, for lack of a better, and unoptimized. Everything is on. It makes me feel better that internally they're getting, because you can see their screen in some of the videos. They're getting like 34 to 35, 36 maybe frames per second. It doesn't make me feel bad about my 20 something when I'm not local on their network, right? And yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that makes me happy. Anyway, what about you, Matt? Anything else?
No, like I said, the color, I like being able to not just see gray box stuff. Although, like I said, the temp things in the buildings and castles is pretty funny still.
Yeah, any of the buildings don't have their textures on them yet.
No.
All right, let's move things along and talk about the Champion preview video that was released. And I did get to play the Champion a lot. It is a ton of fun. I never once found the two-handed mace that we wanted, Matt, with the skull that they show in this particular video.
Oh, disappointing.
I know. But the axes were really cool, and I really enjoyed that. And playing around with the Champion, the kicksand I found was really, really good, which we're just showing right now. For blinding opponents, especially when you're doing, I mean, it was useful with the PvP as well, but the PvE, being able to blind when you've got, maybe you accidentally pull a second mob in, so you can use a lot of your CC abilities to control it, just like you would in any other game. So it was, I don't know, it was working out really, really well. And the, I forget what it's called now, but the 6th skill, the sort of invulnerability for a short time skill, was really cool. Is it Ultimate? Yeah, they're showing it now, I think. No, that's Ultimate Warrior's the buff. Anyways, so that worked out well. You kind of cover yourself in stone. It reminds me of, if anybody watches Agents of Shield, when somebody gets hit by the gas or the crystals stuff that is bad, they get covered in this almost like volcanic rock looking stuff. You kind of go like that and you're invulnerable for a little bit. You kind of turn to stone. I think that's really cool.
Cool.
And the leap was really cool. I felt like Hulk. I actually used the leap equally for retreat as I did for going into combat and attacking people. Brings your rage right up top, right? So you get all your skills available if you leap into something. And the whirling pain was also really good for fights against PvP, fights against other players.
Yeah, Whirling Wind is the big AoE
Yeah.
attack, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. Fun. It's going to be a good class. It's slower paced, right? Your attacks are not as quick as some other ones. Knight was a little bit faster, but you can feel the weight behind it. But again, totally felt like Hulk as I leapt around a little bit. I liked it. It was fun.
Cool.
Some thoughts, gentlemen, on Champion. Are you looking at this thinking, yes, please? Please, sir, can I have some more?
I was kind of meh about this, but
Yeah?
then after watching you play, I am intrigued and I will give it a go for sure.
It's interesting how seeing it in action makes a difference, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What about you, Bill?
It's an interesting. If I was going to play a melee character, I don't know. I'd be torn between the knight and the champion at this point. It's yeah. I don't know. I feel like
very different.
I feel like
you're not going to play anything but your confessor.
Yeah, come on.
We know that.
No, I appreciate finesse type gameplay. So I don't know. Finesse or maybe one of the more agile stealth type classes or something like that are probably going to be more my cup of tea. But
Fireball of truth to the face.
Yep, nothing wrong with that. That's a subtle skill play. It's a fireball of truth to the face.
Subtle skill play. Truth face now. Yeah, there we go.
Whoosh.
Very subtle. Very subtle. I understand. All right, Matt, why don't you talk about the combat chat?
Sure thing. Combat chat was great. Lot of overlap with the with a lot of stuff we've already talked about in the sprint videos and the champion preview video. Lots to talk about Hunger Dome 1.1, the champions, the NPCs, queuing as a team, which was really interesting, actually. Yeah, it's. I don't know how to describe it. Help me out here, somebody, guys.
Yeah, it's like the queuing as a team. Is that what you want to?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, before you would get dumped into a party, you wouldn't have a choice. Everybody just got dumped into a party. It was random, no choosing. Now you get different gods, and you can make up to a party of 4 by picking a specific god that you're going to represent, a pantheon that you're going to represent. But there's only 4 slots. So you jump in, and then, if we wanted to play together, as you fill up other pantheons, they open up more, they add more. So let's say that we jumped into one, you and me, Matt, and then all of a sudden 2 other people jumped into the same one. Bill couldn't do it. We could go to another one and move to a different pantheon and be able to still play together. So you can pick who you play with, basically. You just don't make a party beforehand and queue as a party. You just go into the same server and boom, you're going into a group together.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I drew a blank. Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
No, it's fine. Cool.
Talked about NPCs as well, and how it adds a lot of flavor and a lot more reality and stuff like that. They really talked about how fighting 2 at a time is really tough. And it's really, really hard. And I think they talked about in-house there was only one person that could do it fairly well or got fairly far along doing that. And then, of course, they talked about why on earth you wouldn't engage NPCs. And again, it's something we've touched on already. The fact that the treasure chests are no longer there, and you upgrade your gear. No, sorry, are treasure chests there?
Yes,
Yes,
but just
they're-
not
Yes, so
anywhere.
they're still there, but you get better loot from NPCs as well.
And there's
rid-
not as many chests.
Yes, okay. And yeah, that's the next. Yeah. They're starting to wrap up the engineering work, and the animation is starting to have to keep up with all the engineering and stuff like that. Yeah, anything you guys want to say about that?
It's just getting into a handoff, is what it sounds like. It's kind of neat to see that they're actually there are things in the game that are actually finished, and some of the engineering work that they've done now in terms of graphics and that kind of thing. They've basically said, okay, all done. Go ahead, animators. Now your drawings have to keep up with our tech.
Yeah.
No.
That's the vibe I got from that whole exchange. So that's an interesting thing. Again, it signifies progress.
And they're also talking about changing. Right now, character movement is handled server side, which is why you get a lot of the momentum issues and the just the control issues that we've been having in testing so far. And so they're looking to move the movement. They might have already at this point. I haven't been in this week yet, but they're looking to move it to client side soon, which is good because that will make it a little bit more fidelity in the control. Sorry, keep going, Matt.
That's okay. Touched on the champion again, just because he was just released and how big and slow and powerful he was. And talked a little bit about the whole Ultimate Warrior growing in size. And then stats. Oh.
Sorry, I was just growing in
Oh,
size.
okay. For the champion. Sorry. I heard noise.
Because that's what he does. He roars. Roar!
Nice.
Sorry. Go ahead.
And then stats. Stats are starting to appear. They increase through skill growth. Yeah, very early stages, but they seem pretty darn excited about that coming in. And then, of course, 2.0, it's been announced, is coming in January.
Yeah, and the one thing I wanted to say about the skills, I forgot to mention this earlier. We were talking about they've added passive skills now. The UI is all sorts of crap right now for that to get the passive skills to work. You have to hit your character pane and then get over to skills and then scroll around. And the thing is, in Hunger Dome, you're always going. There's no downtime, so you have to kind of, your group is going, doing this, doing that, whatever. You got to keep up while you're doing that. So it was interesting to try and pick some passive skills to set to train as I was still trying to keep up with my group running around.
Yeah, I can't remember which video it was they said in it. If you knew the UI, it was fairly easy to use, but if you were just going into it cold, nightmares.
Yeah. Bill, before I forget, your job as the ranged person, which is most likely what's going to happen when we play, is to look around and make sure that no one is running towards us, because the camera is set in, if you look quite closely, and we don't have zoom in or out control yet, so you're aware of your character and his immediate surroundings and what's in front of your character, nothing around. So the ranged people, you gotta be looking around because you don't want to get jumped by other groups, which has happened.
Actually kind of cool. That's I almost sort of hope that they keep that, and they actually talk a little bit about that a little bit later in the game. I think it was during the Ace Q&A, which we'll talk about in a sec. But it kind of sounds like they want to keep visibility to a minimum. Like they don't want to everybody to understand what's happening all around the map at all times and have it be a strategy game that way. They want you to be aware of the space around you and have everything else be a little bit of mystery to try to make sure that there's value in things like scouting and that kind of thing. So maybe that's an on-purpose thing, and that becomes a strategy. The one downside is I don't want to be facing away from the battle just to make sure we don't get bum rushed from behind. So it's
you just have to keep looking around as we're fighting.
Probably going to be one of those things where it's going to be strategic to try to pick where you fight, so that you don't fight in the middle of a field, that you have like a cliff behind you so that you don't get attacked from behind and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
But
anyway,
also, we're not going to have these sort of, rumble royales here like we have right now. As we play more, it's going to be a more objective based thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and 2.0 is coming next month. I'll talk about during the we're talking about the Reddit AMA later, but there was some hints dropped about 2.0 in that Reddit AMA, so I'll talk about that in a bit.
Fancy, yeah.
Yeah.
There's some sneaky hints that they drop at the end of the
Dun,
Ace
dun,
Q&A.
dun.
When should we talk about that, Chris?
Right now, right freaking now.
All
Right
right.
now.
Right now. Sorry, that was getting a little bit too far. Ace Q&A for December. Blair and Todd are doing their thing once again, except it's not just Blair and Todd this time. For the first question, they asked about mouse button swapping and game controller support, and they tagged in Billy. Not me, but a different Billy. But he was okay too.
Not Adorable?
No, he was not Adora Billy. He was just regular Billy.
Okay.
So... Anyway, they just basically talked about it that controller and controller customization, mouse mapping, that kind of thing is on the roadmap. It's something that they're working on. Apparently, it's going to be ready tomorrow, according to the video. Even though I don't think it made it in tomorrow, I think Todd kind of shot that notion down later. Sadly, but that it is coming in, and actually looking at the control scheme and everything like that, I could almost see this being one of those games that's, if not better on a keyboard or on a gamepad, it's at least makes sense. Like, it's not going to be a crippled thing, or it's not going to be one of those things where you're at a serious disadvantage if you're using a gamepad instead. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing. I'm sitting here looking at my Xbox controller thinking, yeah, I could just flop down on the couch, stream the game over to my TV and play that way. That would be okay.
Huh. I don't know.
No? No, you want to be within 2 inches of your 35-inch screen, absorbing every moment of the battle?
2.135, actually.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Again,
Anyway.
Pity is just oozing from every pore for me.
Yes, I understand. But I do think it's time to move on to the second question that they talked about.
I see. Yeah, it's about that time, and today is the day for it. Anyway, the next question was whether there was going to be an in-game clock.
No canes, though?
No canes or ains or
Okay.
aims or
Got it.
flames or anything like that. And the short answer is yes. Passage of time in the game is very important. They're going to obviously be need to track that for seasons, for hunger growth, for that kind of thing. So there's going to be a serious, robust system around keeping time in the map that's going to change depending on your game mode and that. However, that timing is not going to be married to real time. So you're not going to have, it's not always going to be dark if you log in at 10 o'clock at night, for example, or anything like that. There's going to be, what do we call it? Crowfallia time, not necessarily Earth time.
I like that. Yeah, so basically your day is going to be shorter.
Yeah. Yeah, but they will have day-night cycles. They will have season cycles. They will have year cycles, and it's all going to be seriously tracked. One of the things that's not necessarily going to be tracked, though, is game mapping and that kind of thing. Is that right now that they were responding to a question about maps in the game, and really wanted to point out that they're desperately trying to avoid mini maps. They don't want that in the game. They want the map to be heavily fogged, so that you can't necessarily see what's going on, and they're trying to figure out ways that they can make sure that the internet cheat maps, are not going to be an issue there, or so you're not going to be able to just look up your game instance on the internet and see the entire completely unfogged map and just see everything that's going on there. They want it to be a mystery. And again, that's to, I think, add some value to scouting, add some mystery to the game, make sure that it's not just a game of chess or anything like that, or it's a game where everybody just zergs right to the same spot that everybody else is fighting. So I kind of like that. I like the I like the mystery to it. I think I don't think it should be completely mapped out and strategized and everything like that. So that could be an interesting notion if that survives all of development. So anyway, so we don't know how they're going to avoid those kind of map hack things or internet lookups and that kind of thing, but it's at least on their minds. So that's a good notion. And then finally, the question that wasn't a question, they talked about a reveal coming. So in a game that's completely transparent in its development, they found a way to keep something secret and try to tease something here. So they've been dropping a few hints here or there. In this particular video, they mentioned that there's that what they're developing is not permadeath. It's not something that's commonly seen in fantasy games, but it is seen in many other games. And it's this thing, this blob, if you will, touches many facets of the game. It's not just like a PvP thing or a character thing or anything like that. It's a holistic thing. So wild
Cthulhu.
speculation.
It's Cthulhu.
Well,
It's
but you know
Cthulhu?
what? There actually, it was mentioned. I had oh gosh, why can't I remember his name? Not J. Todd Coleman, but
Blair? Thomas?
no,
Gordon.
Gordon, thank you. Was in our chat room when we were streaming one night.
Cool.
And he mentioned something, and they mentioned in the Reddit RMA as well. I will give you a hint. Are you ready for the hint?
Yes.
Are you really ready for the hint?
Yes.
Are you
No.
sure you're ready for the hint?
Okay, I'm
Yes.
not.
Okay.
Let me get ready.
That didn't sound right. Let's try it again. You hear what that is?
Explosions.
It's clearly grenades.
The keyword is destruction. The secret word is destruction. Yeah,
Grenade
so that,
launchers. That's the only possible answer.
well,
I
I
still think
believe
it's
we're going to
Cthulhu.
get some big scale destruction via siege weapons or other ways to destroy keep walls, and I believe the next Hunger Dome may be some hold and capture sort of thing. Like maybe spawn one team holding a keep and then everybody else attacks the keep. That would be a fun thing. Right? You remember the old, what was it in WoW, in Wrath of the Lich King? You know, you had one team on defense, one team on offense. What was that map called? The PvP map in the middle of the zone.
Yeah.
Winter something?
Grasp.
Yes. There you go. So yeah, maybe something like that. That would be fun.
We'll see.
We will
Bated
see.
breath is what I'm waiting with.
Dun dun dun. All right, before we get on to our community stuff, let's talk about our sponsors. Audible, go to audiblepodcast.com/MMO Reporter to check out Audible and all the wonderful audiobooks that they provide. You, just for being a listener, if you go to audiblepodcast.com/MMO Reporter, you will get yourself one free month. Just give them your credit card information and they sign you up. If you cancel during that first month, you still get to keep that first audiobook free. But if you decide to continue on your subscription with them, you will get one audiobook for your subscription per month, and you can keep those forever even if you cancel your subscription. Just a quick note to everyone who does follow through on this offer. If you do sign up and you do stick around and get a couple of credits for books, make sure that you use them all up before you cancel your subscription, because last we heard from a listener, when you cancel your subscription, the credits go away. So make sure you use them first.
Oh.
And our friends over at Doghouse Systems, go to doghousesystems.com and use the coupon code MMO Reporter and get a free 120 gigabyte SSD with your purchase in addition to what you already get. We love Doghouse Systems. They are absolutely fantastic, so you want to go check it out.
So, with a little bit of a community outreach, J. Todd Coleman and Gordon Walton jumped over to Reddit. They went hit the R Gaming subreddit for not a quick, for actually a pretty big AMA. Ask me anything about obviously Crowfall, but there were some other questions sprinkled throughout there as well. And this was actually a pretty interesting event. It was a different kind of Q&A that we've seen with any other of the Crowfall media out there. It was actually kind of interesting to see them jump into a community that doesn't necessarily already love Crowfall. And the perspective was very much, it was a little bit more challenging. Like there was some good questions, and there was people in there that obviously were from the community and liked the game and that kind of thing. But a lot of the questions were more very piercing, for lack of a better phrase. Like they talked a little bit about the reward scale ups and how you're going to keep people engaged in a game where the winner is, if not already determined, it's pretty likely. And some of the comments to the answers that they gave there were pretty dismissive and angry and didn't like that. And I think that's the first real negative attacky stuff that I've seen in any kind of Crowfall context. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Was this a good thing? Is it too early to be throwing yourself out at the AMA crowd, or is this a good thing?
I think it follows along with what they're trying to do and be just transparent with the game. They just put themselves out there and let it kind of fall where it may. And I think it was a fairly fantastic read.
Yeah.
Actually, I got totally sucked into a billion questions. So I think it was good.
Yeah, totally agree. I think it was a really great AMA. I thought they answered everything in with a minimum of PR speak, with a minimum of it didn't sound like somebody proofread their answer. It sounded like it's kind of how they're approaching development. They're not being, and I don't mean to imply or say that they're being reckless and just doing everything. They've got a plan, and it definitely feels like they've got a plan for everything that they're doing. They know what they can talk about it, and when they do talk about it, they talk about it unguardedly. Does that make sense?
That's a good way to describe it. Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
They're not couching their words in vagueness to protect themselves later on.
When you think about it, when you're funded by when your funding's in the bank, and B, you're not having to answer to project managers or accountants or anyone else that might be coming from that publisher environment, you're probably a little bit more open, and you're probably a little bit more willing to say something that won't necessarily be interpreted with flowers and honey and glowing praise or anything like that. You could be a little bit more honest.
Rainbows.
I do have to say one thing though. I saw on Reddit in the Crowfall forum that this strikes me as so dumb, and I want all our listeners to tell me either I'm right or I'm wrong, or I'm stupid or I'm right, or whatever.
You're stupid and right.
Somebody posted on there that they were selling their backer package for Crowfall, which is fine. It happens. You see it on the Reddit all the time, on the subreddit. And the thing is, they had said, tried alpha, played a match, didn't like it, selling it. And it was like an amber package, not like this, like not a little amount of money. And I just it really this isn't even a game type that they're thinking of having in the final game. They're just testing that they might now because it's been so popular, but they're just testing, making sure that the little virtual sticks will hurt the little virtual people.
Well, that's the thing. They've said over and over again that this is not what they planned for the final game, that enjoy this while it's here because it's going away.
Yeah, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? I was so flabbergasted.
It is early. Like, I really don't know what you could expect from the game, from what they've shown so far, from the previews and the videos and the information that's already out, that you could make your purchase decision change yet. Like, I haven't seen anything that's actually said that is actually kind of polarizing. Maybe it's someone who's got so much money to throw around that it's okay to throw $300 down on a game that you might play and you might not. Who knows? But
It's the internet. You can find people that throw judgments around like that anywhere.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's dumb, but I'm not surprised to hear it happened.
Anyways, all right. Now that I'm done venting, Matt, you've got the last story of the show.
The Shadow Lord, Malachi. Not a nice dude. He is a trickster god, basically. Patron god of liars, traitors, and spies. He has spiders.
and why would he be dropping that spider into someone's ear? That's terrible. I hate him
is
now.
Disturbing, is it not?
There's nothing he can do that's redeemable. He's just awful.
What a jerk.
Yeah,
In the ear.
That's basically
It's one thing to kind of drop it on her shoulder or something. That's, that's almost just a little bit cheeky. I get the metaphor. He's dropping his lies into someone's ear, blah, 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 blah. But
the visual's a little tough. But that's a confessor. You can tell from the tattoos.
He thrives on doubt and temptation, and so weakness is the only downfall.
I have another question for our listeners. How many of you are really interested? I know that everyone on the podcast here has expressed some interest in the lore of the game, but how many of our listeners are actually interested in the lore for what is going to be a very PvP heavy game? I'm really interested to hear from our listeners about that. You can leave a note in the comments or send us a tweet or something like that or anything like that. We'll have a link to everything we talked about in the show notes, obviously, which are at MMOreporter.com. Bill, why don't you let people know how they can contact us if they do want to let us know anything?
Well, there's a whole bunch of ways that they can contact us. You can head over to MMOreporter.com as the central hub for everything MMO Reporter, including Crowfall Reporter. You can tweet at any of us, either tweet at Crowfall Podcast for all of us, at Almazar for Chris, at MMO Bill for yours truly, or MMO Matty for Matt. You can check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/MMO Reporter Network for all of the network's videos. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/MMO Reporter. And we do not have trained crows yet. It used to be carrier pigeons. We kind of gave up on that idea after a few years. So we're researching crows as message deliverers because it just seems like a good idea.
Do we have the Crowfall Reporter tea cozies done yet?
They have been in pre-production actually for quite a while now. I expect they will be in pre-production for quite a while yet.
Well, we'll get going on the Kickstarter.
We will, yes. We'll provide a status update after the Kickstarter starts.
I may leave the interwebs forever if I actually find out that's a real thing.
Well, but you know what? We've got to get the GoFundMe going to be able to start the Kickstarter. So we need the GoFundMe to fund the Kickstarter, right?
Yeah, but in order to cover our GoFundMe funds, we're going to have to head over to Indiegogo and get that started.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. All right. Matt, as always, an absolute pleasure recording with such a podcasting legend. Thank you so much.
8 episodes in. Woo! Go me.
7. 8. You did MMO Reporter. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Thank
My
you.
apologies. Bill, as ever, your talents grow. You've done 1 or 2 podcasts now, and you sound a lot more comfortable than you did.
Yeah, I think I've only done 8 good ones, though. So me and Matt were right about on par.
Yeah. And of course, thanks to all of you for watching or listening to the show. We really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun in making this show for all of you. So thank you so much. If you like what you see, leave us a comment. Let us know. Like the channel. Follow the channel. Go to our Twitch stream. All that sort of stuff. Let us know what you think about the show. We love to hear from you. Thanks, everyone, for watching. We hope to see you in the next show. But most importantly, we hope to see you in game. Thanks for watching the video, everybody. Don't forget to check out all the other podcasts at mmoreporter.com or by clicking on any of the links here. And please check out our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/mmoreporter. Thanks, everyone, and see you in game.